Hello, viewers. I'm Cold Melman. I'll be commentating on this English restream. And with me, I have my co-caster, Goliath.
Hi.
So, this game's Diddy Kong Racing, any percent. It's a pretty interesting run. It uses one glitch repeatedly over and over again. And that allows you to skip a whole bunch of stuff in this game. So it looks like Musty's getting ready to go here.
Yeah, it looks like he's just putting in the incentive name for the run. There are a few incentives left, especially for the very next run. There's still an incentive for that one. So get your donations in.
Alright, so Diddy Kong Racing Adventure Mode. So the whole story of the game is there's an evil wizard pig called Wizpig who took over an island, and you're trying to get rid of him by racing against people, and then beat them, you win. It's an interesting concept.
Game is often compared to Mario Kart, but it has the adventure mode in it, but Mario Kart doesn't.
It's a neat game. There's like an overworld here where you can go around and pick what race you want to do, and there's bosses.
And it's not just carts. There's a car, and there's a hovercraft, and a plane.
Yeah, you won't be seeing much of those, though. It'll be mostly car for the 90% run. So to start off here, Musty wants to turn himself into a plane. It's just the fastest overall vehicle if you have the option.
So just like in Super Mario 64, you need to get all these collectibles to open gates and doors to the next level.
So you gotta collect golden balloons. There's 4 in the overworld. Not sure what route Musty is gonna do, so I don't know how many he's gonna need. He's gonna either pick up 3 or 4 of the golden balloons. Yeah, looks like he's gonna get 4.
And you need to get one of these balloons just to get into the first area, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but there's one right in front of that door, so the game kind of shows you right away. So you need to get these to go into doors.
You can get that one in the car too, so if you're just starting out, it's kind of easy to find it. So, okay. He's gonna start off by trying to get out of bounds here. Oh, just missed it. So if you had this game as a kid or even recently, you look at that giant Wizpig face right in the overworld. You say, "Oh, I wonder if I can get to the boss early." Well, this is it here. You just have to go out of bounds, and you'll get there.
And that's the first,
yeah,
final boss. Kind of.
It's a rare game, so there's like red herring last boss, and then there's other stuff after, but
right.
The game it leads you to believe that this is the last boss, and then you just go and beat him right at the start.
So normally to get in here, you need to kill, or not kill, sorry, excuse me. You need to race and defeat all of the bosses in the 4 different worlds.
And you have to beat them their second time, because that's when you get the Wizpig amulet.
Right, so you need to defeat them twice each, and then the big carving of Wizpig's face comes to life, his mouth opens up, and you can drive or fly.
You have to fly in, yeah.
Right. But by going out of bounds, you come straight here to the hard car track for the final boss, the first final boss.
And you skip the cutscene too when you just go out of bounds.
That's true.
It's a pretty long cutscene when mouth opens. So.
Right.
He laughs at you and stuff. He's real nice.
I didn't notice. Is Musty playing on the Japanese cart? I think he would be.
The main difference between the versions, there's one wall that's missing in one of the tracks, which allows you to go out of bounds in the Japanese version.
Right.
But the main thing is the version differences. So 1.0 or 1.1 will allow you to do a different version of a wrong warp later. Depending on the version, it will either crash your game, it will always warp you to the overworld, like where you start off the game, or in a few different random areas. We'll get to that later.
Right.
Alright, there's this big gun.
Yeah,
So
so it is the
that's
Japanese
the
crack.
only, yeah, that's the only place in this route that he's going to reset. It saves time for the cutscene, and you don't watch the credits.
So he's using TT as his racer, right? There's a bunch of different
Yep.
characters you can pick, and he's using the clock character.
Yeah, the clock is just straight up the best. There's no competition, but you have to unlock him later. But it's a cart-based unlock.
Okay.
So once you have him unlocked, it's permanent. So
Right. And here's that fourth balloon.
Yep.
So Dino Domain.
Yep. Dino Domain. You'll be seeing this area the most in this route.
So if you were to try and speedrun this game, the world that's absolutely the most important for any percent is Dino Domain.
Yep.
By
For
far.
sure. But they have three of the tracks are car tracks, and car is probably the most intuitive way, the most intuitive vehicle in the game.
Right. And because these tracks are so important, they're very well optimized.
Yeah, like Jungle Falls is a very well optimized one. Yeah, you'll just end up lapping AI in most of the courses, and
Right. Yeah. So this is the first race we see that's not against a boss.
right.
He's destroying the CP.
So if you're looking at Musty's speed here, and you compare it to when you played, if you just hold A, like the game instructs you to, it does accelerate you, but it caps you at about the 60 level, 60 units. But if you tap the A button, the accelerator will push you towards it, and if you time your A presses well enough, you end up just going way faster than the game intends you to go. So that's why you see TT going way faster and lapping everyone.
Right. And you don't even need to be a speedrunner to take advantage of that. You could be streaming this game, just trying to get 100%. And if you're mashing A and you're doing it right, it makes a huge difference.
You'll notice it. You don't even have to time it that well to get a big speed boost just to optimize it perfectly. Kind of depends on what vehicle you're using, what's the slope, are you turning? So it's all variable.
Right.
In these tracks, there's also bananas. Bananas make you go about 1% faster each. You can collect as many as you want, but it caps you at 10 for your speed. So if you get 11 and 12, you're still doing as fast as you would be doing with 10. So in every one of these tracks, you want to try and collect bananas if it's on the way. But it's not really worth to go out of your way to get 10 and then finish the race. It makes for interesting routing for your first lap.
Right. Well, in this race, you'll see he takes the long way around on the first lap to get all these bananas. It's not much slower. And then on subsequent laps, he'll cut across that little lake.
Yeah, it's the safer one for sure. But if you're going for ILs, got his wheel caught there. You don't want to get those bananas. You want to just go left every lap.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's because when you hit that zipper and then you bounce off, if you have your angle correctly, you can conserve that speed on your bounce about halfway down that tunnel. So.
Right. So if you do that zipper perfectly every time.
Yeah, and
saves time over the banana.
Which will never happen anyway, because this game isn't that perfect. And
not in a run, and certainly not in a marathon.
Oh no.
And if you get hit by something, like a red balloon missile or a green balloon landmine, then you do lose some bananas.
Yeah, you lose 2.
So he's doing a frame perfect cutscene skip, or trying to, at the end of every race.
Yeah, as soon as you pass the finish line, you have 1 frame to pause and either restart or return to lobby, and then you miss a cutscene where Taj, the blue elephant genie, shows up and gives you your golden balloon for passing the level. Okay, so on this track, Musty went out of bounds. This track has some pretty special properties. There's actually a hidden loading zone in the out of bounds here, which will be used later in the route. But for now, if you just stick on the inside and hit the triggers for continuing the lap, then you can cut some corners by staying on the inside. In most tracks, there's 3 kind of checks that get done, kind of like a triangle for the map. Some tracks there's more, some there's less.
I guess you cutscene.
Yeah, perfect.
So he came inbounds just to see the finish line and be able to hit that timing a little better.
Yeah, because it's a 1 frame window, so you want to have a visual cue.
How much time does the cutscene skip save?
The first one that you miss is about 17 seconds.
Right.
Because you can't skip it, but every one after you miss one is 6 seconds because you can skip the cutscene, but it still has to load and unload. So here's a interesting, relatively newly discovered trick here, where if... Alright, how to explain this? So this track is pretty unique because there's no laps, it's just race to the top. So if you go to the back of the finish line, the game kind of glitches out and thinks that you're at the end of the race 50% of the time, because it's an alternate frame. And if you manage to hit the right frame, it's pure luck. There's no setup for it, which is why you saw Musty try a couple times.
So that's an applause there too.
You continue on, and then it just says, "Okay, good job, you won." So this is unfortunately the bane of a lot of any percent runs, because if you miss it the first time, then there's nothing you can do about it. Well, good job, he got it pretty quick. But it's pure luck.
Yeah, I think that was 3rd try.
Yeah.
So not that lucky. 1st to 2nd would be ideal.
So after you beat the boss of every world, you need to go and do all the races again, but this time you need to collect some coins. There's 8. Depending on the track, some are hidden, some are just a little bit out of the way.
Some are trolly.
Yeah, when you get to the later levels of the game, they're pretty well hidden.
And you need to win, not just collect the silver coins.
Right. But winning isn't really an issue in this speedrun.
Right. So there's a key on this level. That's only gone in 100%, right?
Right.
Okay. So you won't be going for that.
Yeah, he doesn't need to unlock the minigames. The minigames, the end result of that is the TT amulet, which you need for the final door for Wizbig 2.
Right. But there's a skip for that.
There's a way around it, yeah.
How early was that skip discovered? Like, did people have to do mini games for any percent?
Like 2013, I think it was.
Okay, so some years ago.
TD's lap. But that tricky skip earlier was discovered earlier this year, so there's still things being found in this game. So this part right here, where you get the blue balloon and hit the zipper, if you time it right, you can conserve your speed through this whole section up to about here.
Right.
But it's pretty hard to do.
It's not just timing, you need really fine control as your car's like flying through the air and bouncing off ramps.
Yeah, and you need not to clip into the ground too, which can happen. Sometimes you'll see one wheel get caught under. I think that happened earlier this run too.
He missed that coin going over the pond, and he only has one more lap left, so he's really got to hit that.
Yeah, he just has to take it slow. It works.
Yep.
There you go.
And made up for it.
Ideally, you can also get a blue balloon there and have another boost. But he's still got the, I call it canyonless. Like Super Mario 64 is canyonless, but it's...
So that's what canyonless is. I didn't know what that was.
That's canyonless. So you just skip the canyon part of Fossil Canyon.
So he'll go out of bounds here, but not until after he gets the coins, right? No?
There's a few different thoughts for this, the silver coins. My personal preference is doing the first lap because you also get bananas.
Mm-hmm.
But for this, he has to do the out of bounds part with no bananas. So you get a little bit more speed.
Right, but you may not get the out of bounds on the first try. It's pretty reliable, but not.
Yeah, it's pretty reliable once you've learned it.
Helps to know where all the coins are.
Yeah. There's another route you can do for this where you kind of do the first half of the track, and there's a second out of bounds right there that you can do, and then on your last lap you come in and grab these last three.
So yeah, that seems optimal. That's what you do with the other out of bounds track.
Yeah.
The one I'm specifically thinking of is Space Alpha. So
when no planes, you do it too.
Tricky skip number 2 coming up.
Hooray. 50-50 chance.
So if we see wrong way, that means he's got it.
That's right.
He didn't see it.
If you're unlucky enough, you can technically lose this race.
I guess so.
Oh, 4 times.
It can't be 50%.
Yeah, it is 50.
There we go.
It's alternate frames, so 50%. It's probably a little bit less than 50% because you might not know if you miss the trigger. I just think it's part of the 50%.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I've never done it myself, so I don't know what hitting the trigger means. Like how far you have to go up that ramp, or if you slide down, if that messes with the trigger. I don't know. Seems arcane to me.
All right, first piece of the Wizbig amulet.
So the carving of Wizbig out in the overworld will be 1/4 colorized,
Right.
and that unlocks the trophy race.
That's the main reason that Musty did all this, was to get the trophy race. Oh, that was a weird collision there.
And he didn't get any of those bananas. He got one. So the trophy race is the key to the whole run.
Yeah. So now that Wizpig 1 has been defeated, since it was done at the very beginning of this route, to unlock the last world, the 5th hidden world, you need to beat Wizpig, and you need to have all 4 trophies in the first 4 worlds.
Right. And to excuse me, to unlock the trophies, you need to beat the boss, beat all the tracks, beat
Beat the boss again, do all the silver coins,
right, and do the trophy race.
and then do the trophy race. Yeah.
So everything but the key and the mini game.
Right.
So the trophy races are a bit like a Grand Prix in Mario Kart. It's just a back-to-back 3-lap race of every track in the world, and then you get score based on your rank in each race.
Yeah, and the AI is a bit better too.
Right.
But again, it doesn't really matter for speedrunning.
Right. I guess it does change like where you'll be passing them, like around here.
It does actually have a factor in some of the levels. Like if you're doing ILs for Ancient Lake, which was the first track of the Dino World, you want to do the trophy race because the AI will be at a spot that won't steal your blue balloon when you need it.
So he's not going for the cutscene skips here because
you can't, because you can't do return to lobby. If you pause, it's continue or quit.
Right. Yeah.
He needs to get all the trophies. Got spun out there. That's probably the one main RNG factor is the AI, because they can shoot you or put a mine somewhere.
Yeah, that and now tricky skip.
Well, yeah.
And the other RNG thing coming right up.
Yeah, this part.
So we were saying how trophy races are the key to any percent.
Right. So I also mentioned earlier that there was a hidden loading zone that's right under the finish line. Oh, missed it. Not really sure why it's there, but we use it and it warps you somewhere. So we got the overworld warp. And now the game thinks that you're still in trophy race mode. So it still thinks that you've done 3 of the 4 tracks and your score is 27. So you just need to complete a 4th track and then you'll win a trophy.
So if he were to pause here now,
it'd be continue game or quit game, thinking that he's still in the trophy race.
Right.
Which is why he can't get out of this this race here. So you'd have to pause for it.
Mm-hmm. So he was warped to the overworld.
Yep.
And ended up in his car.
Yep.
Is that good RNG or bad RNG or unlikely or likely?
It's because you have to get different ones eventually anyway.
Okay.
So you want at least one overworld so you can do the snow world.
Right. So we can't tell yet whether that's
Yeah.
really good or really bad.
It's just if you get 3 overworlds, it's not great. But also,
Okay.
I'm not sure what version of the game Musty's running.
Okay.
Because if he's running a certain version, he's gonna get overworld every time.
Right. So then the game still thinks he's in trophy race mode.
Right.
He went to the overworld with the wrong warp. Finished his business with Taj, the elephant, doing that race, and then went straight to
The
what's this
the
area
snow
called?
world,
Yeah,
Snowfall Mountain,
something like that. And then he
Snowflake
came
Mountain.
in.
That's
Yeah,
it.
right. And then he came to Snowball Valley, which is this track,
Because
specifically because
it's the quickest one, and he has enough balloons for it.
Right. And so the game thinks that, okay, he finished a Snowflake Mountain track, got the trophy. So this trophy, even though this is the Dino Domain trophy room, he now has the Snowflake Mountain trophy.
Right.
And he's here now, so
He's still gonna have to grab a minimum amount of balloons so
right.
that he can do this warp for Dragon Force, the 4th world, because you need 16 for the lowest requirement track. It's Windmill Plains, yeah.
Yeah. Also the longest track.
Oh well.
He's getting his wheels stuck in the ground quite a lot. That's pretty annoying when it happens.
Yeah, the hitbox of the car isn't one thing. It's there's a different hitbox for every wheel, and then there's your actual vehicle. So because they're separate hitboxes, if you clip one of your wheels out, it'll get stuck out, and it won't necessarily come back in right away. If you're really unlucky, you can get one. If you get 3 wheels stuck out of bounds like that, you're actually stuck.
Really?
Yeah.
But you keep some of your momentum, so you could go toward.
Yeah, if there's like a hill or something, you can fall down.
Yeah.
You can try. And if you do clip out of bounds when you're not supposed to, and you just fall straight down, it'll warp you to the start line at the beginning of your current lap. So it's not the end of the world, but it's kind of slow and really bad.
Right. So we're back here in Dino Domain.
Yeah, we've seen these tracks a lot.
This is the 4th time we've seen this track.
Yeah, we'll see it a few more.
But he's in a trophy race now, so he'll be doing the same thing as earlier.
That's right. The whole point of this route is you don't have to beat all the tracks and the bosses of every world. You just need to do one world and then one track in all the worlds.
Right. And you mentioned earlier he's not doing glitchless. This is a full regular any percent run.
Yep.
Hence he's using the wrong warp glitch. What is glitchless like if you can't use the wrong warp? Do you do every track, or are there some minor non-glitch skips?
It's still kind of being made, the category. It's not perfectly defined yet. A tricky skip kind of made it so that runners were getting frustrated with the 50-50.
For any percent.
And, like, a frame perfect pause is like, okay, you just gotta press the pause button at the right time, but a 50-50 chance where nothing happens. Because there's enough super precise, almost random things that happen in this game
Right.
with the any percent route, where there's kind of a growing desire for something a bit more reliable.
Plus, mechanical skill is a big factor in the speed game of this game, in the speed run of this game. So
Yeah.
taking
There
away
is
a little
there
bit
is
of
the all trophy race category, which is about a 25 to half an hour minute run.
right.
Where
Not
it's
as every
just
track.
all the tracks once. Yeah. You don't do the bosses or the mini games, but it's still there's no downtime, there's no glitches. It's just go fast.
Is there a lot of debate around what's a glitch? I've heard the joke that it takes longer to define what glitchless means for some games than it does to run glitchless.
Well, for this, there's just no out of bounds,
Okay.
no checkpoint skipping or manipulation. You won't see that in any of the runs, but it is a thing.
And cutscene skips at the end of each track?
I believe those aren't being done in glitchless.
Okay. So I could run glitchless.
You could, but good luck.
Right.
Take you at least 2 hours.
Maybe it's a good starter category. So,
Yeah, but you're gonna want to get TT first. So
maybe, I don't know.
if you're starting out, that's the first thing you want to do.
I'm
He's
partial
He's
to
just way better. And Pipsy's slow.
Yeah, I know.
Like Pipsy does have one stat that's better than TT, and that's the turning.
Well,
okay, so here he warped to Dragon Forest, which is the fourth world.
car.
Yeah, car.
So we know he's using the fastest version of the game now.
Yep.
Right.
So that's good. And he was already hover. Oh wow, so he can go to here. So right now he is getting okay RNG for it. Preferably on the third wrong warp for the Dragon Forest world. He's gonna want Dragon Forest plane.
At least likely.
Yeah, it's like a 1 in 9 chance approximately. So, oh, and that's the other thing about the 90% route. If you want to go for a competitive time, you need to have that Dragon plane at least once.
That's true.
Even at 100%, you'd like to have it once in a while.
So you talked about how mashing makes you go quicker in a car.
Right, hover. We're not going to see many hover tracks in this route. In this, the A-tapping isn't quite as important. What is more important is when this vehicle turns, you accelerate. So as long as you're constantly turning, you will be constantly accelerating. So with this, you do a little bit of snaking, just go left, right, left, right. The difficult part about it is if you have one frame where your stick is neutral, so not left or right, you will lose all that speed. So when you go from left to right, you need to move very quickly, and because of that, a lot of people don't like it because it's kind of hard on the thumb for some people.
Right. So mashing A is hard on your right thumb and snaking is hard on your left thumb.
Yeah. And it's not the same rate either that you're tapping and snaking,
okay.
so it's weird. I think those are the only two tracks that you'll see hover. This one, Pirate Lagoon.
And he's holding R, I believe.
Yeah, you hold R the whole time. Makes your turns a bit sharper.
Mm-hmm. So I don't speedrun this game, but I do watch it quite a bit and try and give some tips when I can if I'm watching someone stream it. But it's pretty deep, all the different things, all the different subtle mechanics to it.
And the vehicles are just so different from one another too. You can be really good at car and have no idea how to do the hover.
Or you can be really good at hover and not bother with anything else because every track is hovercraft compatible. So again, he's doing these tracks just to get enough balloons to be able to do Dragon Forest tracks.
Yeah, he
And get
needs
the
that 16. Because if he doesn't get Dragon Plane, so he's doing a marathon safe route here. If he doesn't get Dragon Plane, he'll at least have 16 to do in the plains. Ideally, he can get into Haunted Woods, because that's a very, very quick track. But you also need 39 balloons to get in there, so it's not worth the trade-off.
How many balloons are there in total? I think it's 47. Some weird number.
Yeah, it's 40 something. I think it's 48. There is a hidden balloon as well that you can actually get.
Right.
It's in the boss of Smoky Mountain.
You can get it? I thought it appeared on your screen, but I wasn't sure that you could actually...
No, you can't get it.
Can't.
Even if you go out of bounds, it doesn't do anything. It's just a graphic of it.
Huh. They just had to store the sprite somewhere or something.
Yeah. So if he gets an overworld warp again, Taj is going to show up and try and challenge him to a plane race. You can just ignore it and just go to Dragon Forest.
So he has 16 balloons. Got to do this trophy race.
Yeah, he's going to finish the Dino Trophy. And then he's going to enter the Dino Trophy again.
Okay. So this is number 5, Ancient Lake.
So in the car, to go fast, you not only need to tap A, but you need to drift in your turns as well. If you drift for a long time, or just a few seconds, you'll spin out. But if you move the joystick back and forth, you will actually not spin out. So
that's how he's able to do this big, long drift.
Yeah.
Or in that U-bend near the end of the lap. You don't get a speed boost from drifting, right?
No, that's some of the Mario Kart games.
Right.
You do get a speed boost from doing the loops in the plane.
And you do go faster while you're drifting.
Yeah, you do.
So it's a bit like first-person shooters, especially on older engines where diagonal movement is faster.
You can't really snake in the car.
Okay.
In a lot of straight lines, you can end up drifting too. Like going up a hill as well, you want to drift. Even if it's in a straight line.
And as for planes, as I recall, there's a few things you can do to go fast.
For planes are completely different.
It's like 3 games in 1.
Yeah, planes. If you hit the A button, you actually end up slowing down once you're at higher speeds. If you barrel roll, which is what you see Musty do when he's out of bounds, your speed actually accelerates infinitely as long as you don't press the A button. So he might need to press it in his turn to conserve some speed. Like, just do some barrels, and if you try it at home and you have the speedometer up and you just barrels without pressing the A button, you'll see your speed going up to the maximum, which is 150, and it actually keeps going higher, but it just doesn't show on the speedometer.
And if you're not doing a barrel roll, holding R and playing gives you more control and more speed. I think. And that's the Dino Trophy because he finished Hot Volcano. Hot Top Volcano.
Hot Top Volcano, yeah.
So he's right here, right back into the trophy race.
Yeah, now it's the last trophy race.
And he has to go to Dragon Forest.
Yep.
After this. So hopefully get the fastest wrong roll.
Fastest would be the plane, but if he doesn't get it, then oh well. It's a marathon safe route, so he has enough balloons.
This game has been shown in a bunch of different marathons.
Yeah.
Not that often, but once in a while. And I don't think I've ever seen perfect RNG, so it's could be a first. If he does get it. 1 in 9 chance, you said, approximately, right?
Yeah.
And people have tried to find different ways of manipulating that RNG.
Yeah, it's just luck. It's just like the tricky skip, right?
Yeah.
Whatever frame you get it on.
And for ILs of this game,
Yep.
there's 2 different kinds, right? There's time trials, which are
Yeah.
built into the game. But there are also balloon races.
Right. In time trials, there's no balloons. There's another category as well, which has skips in it. And so, like, some tracks you can manipulate the boundaries. Obviously, Out of Bounds is one of them, but there's some other tracks where some of the boundary checkers don't go all the way across the level, so you can cross it and then like hug the wall, or go up the wall if it's a slope, go back over it, but the game will still think that you've hit past it, not turned around. So you can do that to start some laps early in some tracks.
Are those tricks particularly difficult? I don't think I've seen those in runs.
No, you'd never see them run because overall they're slower, but for like an individual lap or
Okay. Right.
or a 3-lap,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are on ones that aren't in the standard adventure mode. So, like for example, here Hot Top Volcano, in adventure mode it puts you in plane, but you can also do it in hover. So other tracks that you can be in plane, you can go out of bounds in, like Treasure Caves, you can go out of bounds in plane, and Star City as well.
All right. What kind of RNG will we get?
That's going to be Overworld.
Most likely. Fingers crossed.
Overworld, alright.
Yeah. Well, hover's better than car. Taj didn't challenge him to a plane race.
Oh, you need 20 balloons for that, my mistake.
Okay.
It's 15 for hover and 10 for car, I believe.
So you can't do the quick track. You can't just go straight into the boss.
And you can't skip that beginning intro as well. When you go on the track and there's a slow go around of all the
racers.
yeah. Normally you can just do restart race and then you can skip it.
So this is a long track, and there is an out of bounds here, but it's particularly difficult.
Right. So
And
Musty's not going for it.
Even once you do get the out of bounds clip, which is difficult, staying out of bounds is tricky as well.
Yeah, the triggers are in some pretty inconvenient places. One of them's the start line. The next one is like under this next tunnel, so it's really annoying to get to.
Right.
And when you're out of bounds, water has some pretty interesting properties in this game. If you appear somewhere where there's water and you're out of bounds, it will like upwarp you to the surface of the water. So if you hit some water in the wrong spot, it will push you back in bounds. But if you hit water while your vertical axis is still out of bounds, you're okay. It's weird.
So some racing games have checkpoints, and you have to drive through them before the timer ticks down, or you're eliminated from the race.
Yeah, they're just hidden, but it's a way for the game to keep track of if you're actually progressing through the track. Some tracks are stricter than others.
So this will give him his 4th trophy.
Yep. So then he has all the trophies. He's beaten Wisbig the first time.
He doesn't need to beat all the world bosses to go and beat Musty the first time, because he did that already. So he's met all the conditions for the 5th world to be unlocked.
Right. All right, good music here too.
Oh yeah. I can hear it in my head. I think the first time I saw this converting into a rocket ship blew my mind.
Oh, this is the same shape.
Yeah, it's true. People have confused lighthouses for spacecraft in the past and in other games. So the 5th world, I think it might be my favorite world. All the races are fun, casually, but it has some of the harder races.
Yep.
We don't get to see any of them.
Not in this route. So, normally you need to complete all the levels in here, and then a second time with the silver coins, and have the TT amulet to get past that last door. But we don't have either of those, so if we just skip the door, we can go to the boss.
Is there a trophy race in the...
There is, but you don't actually need to beat it to beat the game.
So in 100%, you don't need to get that trophy.
No, you still need to get the trophy in 100%. It's 100%.
Oh, my mistake.
There's no minigame here, though.
Right.
And then, I think it's in Spaceport Alpha. There's a little alcove where that would fit where the key would be if there was a key. So it was definitely in the developer's mind to put one in, but I guess they never got around to it. So this whole point of manipulating the larger version of TT is for this right here. If you can manipulate TT in a certain way, when he leaves, he will hit you and it will bounce you pretty far.
This is good.
So hopefully he gets it here. So what happens is TT, the walking kind of TT, he doesn't really have a vehicle, so he doesn't know what to do when he's out of bounds. So sometimes he wants to stay on the same vertical axis. So if he's out of bounds in a certain area that has like a floor above him, he can upwarp to that. Because in the game's mind, there is no reason for him to be on a different level. So by being on a higher level and at the warping instantly to a lower level, he has that much velocity that gets transferred to you, and that's how you get hit.
Do you know how this trick was discovered? Was it just someone messing around saying, hey, I can get TT out of bounds here? Wonder what he does, and then getting knocked around by...
Don't remember how it was discovered. It was before I started playing this game seriously anyway.
Right. Someone found it.
Fortunately, he's not cooperating right now.
So when TT's not inside the wall, that's the setup, right? And when he's inside the wall, that's the
Right.
attempt. Right. So right now it's an attempt.
Right now it's an attempt. No, it didn't happen.
And now he's got to set him up again.
Because he need TT will go around in circles in the middle of the lobby. But every time you talk to him, he changes what direction of the circle he goes in. So he needs to be going towards a certain direction. So that he rotates counterclockwise from the top towards you. Whereas that time on the setup, he goes clockwise, so...
Clockwise. The clock goes clockwise, talking to the...
Yeah, but you want counterclockwise.
A little surreal. And even if he does get the TT slap, he's got to aim it right.
Yeah.
Which, it looks harder. I don't know if it's easier.
He puts himself at a low angle there, and you got to be reversing.
And there's no backup for this if it doesn't work, so it's got to keep
You just got to keep going, and the only thing you lose if you miss is just try again. So you just lose a bit of time.
Does this trick work on every version of the game?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Well, does DS count?
No.
Then yes, it works on every version.
DS has a different leaderboard, different set of runners, I think, unless you know of any DKR 64
Oh,
runners.
it's a different game. It just has the same map. The mechanics are completely different. Like the start boost when you're hover, you have to like blow into the mic. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
And there's no silver coin challenge. It's like an auto scroller where you gotta tap balloons or something. I don't know.
Making full use of the DS.
Well, it was one of the earlier games for the DS, so they had to, you know, make its features known, I guess. Hopefully he'll get it soon. Oh, there we go. Not enough.
Not enough height, not enough speed. not the right direction, bit of everything.
I think he left the menu too early. He didn't let TT stop moving. See how he does a couple steps towards you at the end there?
Right. Oh, TT seems like he's ready to cooperate. Just gotta do it
There,
perfectly.
this will work. Oh, unfortunately, didn't get the right angle.
You can see he's really disappointed so far with that one. I still think it's funny. It's good music. Got a nice beat. Trying to get the clock to go counterclockwise. I like the name of the glitch too, the TT slap.
That's what he does. He just slaps you.
Yeah. Kind of stomps you too, because like he falls onto you, right?
That's the fact that he turns towards you. Here we go. That looks like it. And skip the door. Good job.
You can't go back to the TT door, right? It won't open.
I've never tried.
Yeah, once you're here, you just kind of want to finish the run.
I know for some other doors, like if you go into a level early before you have enough balloons by going out of bounds, and you try and leave, the door won't open on the way out. I know that happens, so I don't know about the TT door.
And so this is the true secret hidden final form of the final boss of
Yep.
this game.
It's Wizpig who's running a rocket.
And there's the plane level, so there's a good chance, yeah, you can get out of bounds.
Yep. So that pillar right there, that's one of the 3 kind of checkpoints you need to go under. And then the next one's the finish line.
And you can use the mini-map, but the mini-map has a latency on how quickly it updates. So.
And then the last one's right under the pig head. So if you hit those 3 kind of hidden checkpoints, then it doesn't matter what you do for the rest of it, as long as you just do that triangle.
It's weird that you have to go under them.
You can go over them. You can go over them too. It's just the game doesn't always consider y-axis. So a lot of barriers and triggers are infinitely high and infinitely low.
Right, okay. But just not infinitely wide. So you have to go under the piece of track where that is.
Right.
Not necessarily directly under that pillar, but under the piece of track where it is. I gotcha.
And that's time. So that's DKR any percent, written by Musty. So here we have the end credit scene where they show all the characters and There's Pipsy. Well, for commentary, that's it for me. I'm Cold Mountain.
Yeah, thanks for the commentary.
And joining me was Goliath, and next up we have Brothers. Is that right?
Brothers. Yeah, I'll be